the whole of this year, we've been catching all kinds of L's. But it seems to be ending on a positive note. As you are aware, I think since the 13th of December 2024, physician associates are currently officially regulated by the GMC. Yes, there is a transition period of 2 years, but they are currently a regulated profession. They will invite those already on the voluntary register to come in, I think somewhere in January, and then as time progresses, when the 2-year mark hits, it will be illegal for anyone to claim to be a physician associate without being on this register. As expected, the BMA is not particularly pleased with this state of affairs, put forth the argument that given the fact that the government recognized that there is some legitimate concern, if we are still awaiting the Leng report, the government should put in place some roadblocks to further ensure patient safety instead of just pressing ahead with the regulation. This whole business of regulation, it has been a long time coming. From many articles I had read in the past, the point had been belabored: unregulated profession, unregulated profession. There have been countless delays, but eventually we've come to this point. Does this mean all the problems physician associates have will be wiped off the table? Certainly not, but I think it's a good step forward. This was supposed to be the final hurdle, after which the sea would come and then things will be put in place and things will move forward. We still have a lot ahead of us. One being the current Leng report. We'll have to deal with it when it comes. I was reading somewhere, probably the RCP again, where they changed their position on physician associates. The general gist I got from it is that they do support the role of physician associates only if there is a national scope. The GMC has also made it clear that they are not the ones who are going to set any national scope of practice. They think it must be set locally. Others, like the BMA, clearly do not support this position. They feel there must be a national ceiling. This is what the physician associate does, and then that is it. Going back to the RCP thing, either the RCP holds the role of physician associates, or if they were going to support it, we should not do more than what an FY1 does. Physician associates, regardless of how much experience one has, we are not doctors. Everything a physician associate can do, a doctor can do. So if you are going to bring this new group, which is us, we should not be able to do what the lowest on the hierarchy does. You can see the logic in there. However, of course, physician associates are not going to just accept this. Some will make the argument that the physician associate in a given specialty has been specifically trained in X or Y to be allowed to do that. That does not sit well with some doctors. So if you have to sit exams, you have to go through these hoops in order to do X, and then you have people like myself, physician associates, we are allowed to do that same X without going through that same path. Some questions will be asked. It seems that the RCP is working on a scope guidelines similar to what the RCGP did. There are always things in the background, as I said last time, that you and I are not aware of. Every organization has its own incentives and its own constraints. They may not necessarily align with yours. RCP, these guys, they've been with us, if I'm not mistaken, since 2015. They were the ones hosting our annual conferences, PA national exams. They've done a U-turn on PAs. And I was reading this article, which was making the argument that the only reason why the RCP took on physician associates in the first place was for financial reasons, because their numbers were not adding up. Physician associates were seen somehow as a cash cow. We have to pay for membership, but then every year you have a group of physician associates that will need to sit national exams, which will also cost. You need to go to the PA national conference, you have to pay through the RCP, that will also cost. The argument being made by that paper was that almost like when you have a startup and you have a subscription model, the taking on of the physician associates by the RCP then did not lack a financial incentive. It's like a tangled web. There are too many things at play that you and I are not privy to. We are pawns on a chessboard. People move left, move right, and then things start falling about. Good thing is that there is regulation. So when the books get open and they start registering physician associates and putting us on a GMC register, it's still important to make sure that patients know that we are not doctors. We do some of the things doctors do, but we work under a doctor. Do our best as we can. Those that will not like us because we are physician associates, regardless of anything we do, we just have to learn to live with them like the flu. As long as physician associates exist in this form, there will be some doctors that support you as an individual. Because yes, you're a physician associate, but they also know you as a person. They will support you, try to make the environment as hospitable as possible. And there'll be some doctors, maybe don't know you as a person, just in principle, I'll pull to the role, and they can make a dispassionate argument as to why they think the role should not exist, the problems they see with the role, and you can listen to them and you can agree or disagree. Those ones exist. And you have the ones who they oppose the role but seem somehow incapable of distinguishing the person from the role. They just besmirch you as they see fit. You see the true nature of a person when they believe they have the moral high ground. Everything they do, they believe is justified. The end they are seeking is justifying their means. We're a physician associate. I believe you're a patient safety issue. So everything I do to communicate that point is justified. Because at the end of the day, you are the villain. Let's see how things go from here. Await the Lang report and any recommendations that will be made. It's not the end. There is still a lot ahead of us. It's your boy OT, and I'm out. Salute.
A few moments later.